What if I told you that some of the world's most feared destinations are hiding the most authentic travel experiences you'll ever have? In this video, I'm taking you to 10 controversial destinations that most travelers avoid. We'll separate fact from fiction and show you what these places are really like beyond the alarming headlines. From sharing tea with locals in Iran to witnessing breathtaking architecture in North Korea, these unexpected encounters challenge everything you thought you knew about these misunderstood places. At number 10, we have Venezuela. Venezuela's economic collapse has been plastered across headlines for years. Once thriving tourist destinations now sit empty while the country battles hyperinflation and widespread shortages. Beyond these dire portraits lies a Venezuela of stunning natural beauty hiding in plain sight. As our drone camera pans across the landscape, you'll see the breathtaking Angel Falls cascading nearly 3,000 feet down from tepuis. This is the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall, and nowadays, you might have this magnificent sight completely to yourself. The same goes for Venezuela's Caribbean coastline. Los Roques Archipelago offers powdery white sandy beaches and crystal clear waters that rival any Caribbean destination. Then there are the tepuis, ancient table mountains rising dramatically from the jungle, geological wonders that most travelers will never see but that speak to the country's timeless magnificence. At number 9, we have Iran. The Western Evening News tells a familiar story. Angry crowds chanting anti-American slogans, officials condemning the West, and headlines about nuclear tensions. It's the image that's shaped Western perceptions for decades. When travelers first arrive, the anxiety is palpable. Women adjust headscarves before disembarking planes, and even seasoned travelers look tense passing through immigration in Tehran. The first question weighing on minds: how will they treat a Westerner here? This anxiety dissolves quickly. A family extends a dinner invitation your first day. A carpet seller in Isfahan offers tea with no sales pitch. Students eagerly practice English in Mellet Park, requesting selfies with foreigners. In Shiraz, locals guide you to Arirang Garden with its cypress trees and reflecting pools. Iran unfolds architectural treasures. Isfahan's azure-domed Sheikh Lotfullah Mosque, Persepolis with its 2,500-year-old stone reliefs, and winding bazaars where shopkeepers prioritize conversation over commerce. At number 8, we have Saudi Arabia. This is a kingdom undergoing perhaps the most dramatic social transformation on Earth. Just 5 years ago, Saudi Arabia's religious police patrolled shopping malls, enforcing strict gender segregation and dress codes. Today, that reality feels like ancient history. I witnessed this rebirth in Jeddah, where women drive past billboards advertising international music festivals, events unthinkable before 2018. The introduction of tourist visas in 2019 opened doors to a previously sealed country. Saudi Arabia's landscape reveals itself like pages of an ancient text coming to light. At Alula, massive sandstone formations house intricate Nabatean tombs predating Islam by centuries. I explored these monuments carved into rose-colored cliffs. Along the Red Sea coast, coral reefs thrive in pristine condition, untouched by mass tourism. At number 7, we have Pakistan. When most people hear Pakistan, news images of political unrest and security concerns immediately come to mind. I certainly faced raised eyebrows when mentioning my plans to visit, but the Pakistan I discovered bears almost no resemblance to these grim headlines. Pakistan's majestic mountains create a landscape that literally takes your breath away, partly from sheer beauty and partly from the thin air at extreme altitudes. The Karakoram Highway cuts through valleys so deep and mountains so tall that you feel truly insignificant. The whisper of wind through ancient pines and the distant rumble of glacial rivers accompany you along the journey. I watched in awe as locals casually went about their lives beneath peaks that would be national treasures anywhere else. Despite what many believe about this region, the reality astounded me. In the remote Hunza Valley, families invited me into their homes, serving homemade apricot jam and bread while sharing stories of their ancestors who guided traders along the ancient Silk Road. At number 6, we have Russia. When I mention visiting Russia to friends, their reactions are almost comically predictable. Wide eyes, concerned faces, and a barrage of questions about sanctions and safety. My travel anxiety about hostile immigration officers and resentful locals vanished quickly. Beyond the Kremlin, I discovered a Russia invisible in news coverage. St. Petersburg's intricate canals and gold-domed cathedrals create a city rivaling Venice or Paris in beauty, with far fewer tourists crowding its streets. The Trans-Siberian Railway carried me through endless birch forest to Lake Baikal. where locals welcomed me into their tradition of banya steam baths, followed by bracing plunges into the world's deepest lake. Their warmth and hospitality made me feel like a welcomed guest rather than a foreigner. At number 5, we have Lebanon. I found myself in a country where beauty and chaos dance in perpetual tension. Lebanon sits at the crossroads of Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures, yet remains largely empty of international visitors, despite offering experiences you simply can't find anywhere else. In Beirut, I witnessed a city of stunning contrasts. Bullet-scarred buildings stand near chic rooftop bars where locals sip Iraq and dance until dawn, preserving their joy amid the country's economic collapse. The scent of fresh za'atar mingles with sea air along the Corniche. Driving 90 minutes from the capital, I discovered Baalbek, where massive Temple of Jupiter columns tower above those at the Parthenon. This UNESCO treasure hosted only a handful of visitors that day. Later, I wound through the Shuf Mountains where ancient cedar trees, the same ones mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh, stand sentinel over valleys cascading down to Mediterranean beaches. At number 4, we have Turkmenistan. We move to a land where time seems suspended in a bizarre political experiment. Arriving in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan feels like entering an alternate reality. A city of blinding white marble buildings and gold statues that cost billions to construct, yet the streets remain hauntingly empty. My guide whispered essential rules shortly after my arrival, creating immediate tension. Photography of government buildings was forbidden, conversations with locals required permission, and the previous president's name must always be stated correctly. The city felt like an elaborate stage set with its rotating golden statues, tracking the sun, and massive monuments celebrating obscure national achievements. 6 hours into the desert, I found the journey's true reward. The Darvaza gas crater spread before me, a 230-foot inferno burning continuously since 1971. As flames danced across this door to hell under the night sky, I stood mesmerized, witnessing a spectacle most travelers would never see. At number 3, we have North Korea. I found myself drawn to perhaps the most secretive nation on Earth, North Korea. While watching tourists board those infamous Air Koryo flights in Beijing, I couldn't help noticing the mix of fear and fascination on their faces. Would they become political pawns? Would their every move be monitored? In Pyongyang, you enter what feels like an elaborate theatrical production, where government guides constantly accompany you, controlling every photo and restricting access to certain buildings. This carefully orchestrated experience made me wonder how much authentic culture exists beneath the propaganda. The massive statues of the Kim dynasty demand respectful bowing, while the immaculately clean streets feel eerily empty of normal life. At the DMZ, North Korean soldiers maintained perfect posture while explaining their version of history. This controlled narrative contrasted with the raw human artistry I witnessed later at the Arirang Mass Games, where thousands of performers created synchronized human pixel art with breathtaking precision. At number 2, we have Somaliland. I stumbled upon a nation that officially doesn't exist. While Somalia continues to make headlines for piracy and Al-Shabaab terrorism, few people realize that Somaliland declared independence in 1991 and has maintained peace and democracy ever since, though not a single UN member recognizes it. When I mentioned my travel plans, friends responded with shocked warnings about kidnappings. What I discovered instead was a place where I wandered through Hargeisa's markets unbothered, exchanging smiles with genuinely thrilled locals. At Las Gil, I stood alone among 5,000-year-old cave paintings depicting ancient cattle herders, their ochre colors still vibrant against rough stone. No barriers, no guards, just history breathing around me. My guide mentioned I was only the third visitor that week. Along the Gulf of Aden, I explored beaches where the salty breeze carried conversations as locals invited me for tea, rather than trying to sell souvenirs. At number 1, we have Yemen. Just across the water from those peaceful Somaliland beaches lies a nation experiencing one of the world's worst humanitarian disasters. Yemen has virtually disappeared from travelers' maps since its devastating civil war began in 2014. Airstrikes, famine, and disease outbreaks dominate headlines instead of its extraordinary cultural heritage. Yet 240 miles offshore sits Socotra, often called the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean. This remarkable island remains accessible to determined travelers despite the mainland conflict. I met another traveler who reached Socotra via cargo ship from Oman. The dragon blood trees look like something from a sci-fi movie, she told me, When you stand among them at sunset with their umbrella-shaped crowns silhouetted against the sky, you can't believe you're still on Earth. Meanwhile, mainland treasures like Shabam's mud brick towers and Sania's gingerbread architecture wait silently for peace to return. As we've journeyed through these misunderstood places, one truth emerges: reality rarely matches headlines. These destinations reveal themselves layer by layer to those willing to look deeper. This is about recognizing that between stark news stories lies a colorful spectrum of human experience waiting to be discovered. Travel demands respect for genuine concerns while embracing nuance. If you've enjoyed seeing these overlooked destinations, subscribe for more journeys that challenge what you think you know about our world.